So I'm going to do predictions for the rest of the Premier League season, how I think the table will finish. I'm going to do the top seven, and also going to do the bottom three. So in terms of the teams that could qualify for Europe at the top, the start of the title race. So it's only between two teams to win the league now. It'll be either Arsenal or Man City. Now Arsenal have currently got 9 point lead. City have got a game in hand and still have to play them though at the Etihad. So in theory, City could get it back down to just 3 points, and there probably wouldn't be that much of a gap in the goal difference as well, which Arsenal currently are stronger in. But so I mean, City could do that in theory, but I think even if they do, the way Arsenal are going in the league, I'm not sure they'll drop the points. But the League Cup final, how poor Arsenal were on the day, how strong City were, how they just seemed to deal with the occasion and the pressure better. It does raise a question when it really comes down to it. Could Arsenal blow it again? I don't think they will. I think Arsenal will get over the line this season in the Premier League at least. I mean, they're still in all three other competitions, but they have lost out in the League Cup now. I still think they hold on to the league simply because I just think they've been too strong, too organised. I think this has got to be their year. I can't see how they can throw it away from here. It's still completely in their own hands, even if City beat them and they also win the game in Man City. But the way Man City are playing in the Premier League, they've shown up for the League Cup final, and I wouldn't be surprised. They'll be looking at the FA Cup as well. They'll finish second, City, I think, for sure. Well, if they don't win the league, they'll finish second for sure. So at this stage, I think there was a chance that maybe United could have caught them, but I think the fact they had to drop points at Newcastle, I think, was what really hindered any chance that they could make a real run for it. But I mean, you never know. But it will be first Arsenal, second City, I'm thinking, at this stage. Although the one thing I will say about that is I think it does raise some questions. That final, Arsenal, again, they've had a major trophy drought. That was a major chance for them to really just get some confidence going. Because if they had won that, they would without a doubt now be favourites to go on and win all four. But I think that will, it'll cause some nervousness, I think, amongst Arsenal fans in particular. I've seen them be in strong positions in the league before and throw it away, but I just don't think they've been in quite such a good position before. Where they've been conceding so few goals, dominating all stats. They've looked way better than any other English club this season overall. If you look at the performances overall, they have, the fact they are 9 points clear. It does, the way they've played. I think it is worthy of that. I think they have been a lot better than City, who have dropped a lot of points recently as well. And there is that as well, a case of if Arsenal were to slip up, there's nothing to say City wouldn't drop a few more points as well. Because although they've shown up in that final, Guardiola usually does get his team to show up for finals. Week in, week out, they've just not had it this season, City. So I'm going to go for first Arsenal, going to go for second Man City. Third place, I think, has to be Man United. I think they've looked a lot stronger than everyone else in the race for the top four at the moment. Whether they stick with Carrick beyond this season, I think maybe that depends on how they finish this season, but it looks for sure like they'll qualify for Champions League now, especially as it will likely be 5 teams that qualify. So I'm going to go off with this prediction as well. I'm going to go off of the basis of the top 5 getting the Champions League as well. It could just only be top 4, but it's likely that top 5 qualifies. That 5th place will be enough this season. So as for Man United, the running, it's not the easiest. They've still got to play Liverpool. They've still got to play Chelsea as well. They've still got to come to us away. But the way we're playing, I think that, to be honest, I can't see how we're going to beat them at the moment. I'll come to us in a minute, where I think we might finish. But like I say, you've got to look at current form. United are dominant in terms of the top 4 race. I think their recent form's been brilliant since Carrick's come in. He's turned it around completely. A lot of players, I think, have stepped up. Be interesting to see sort of what players they get next season. I mean, what I think works in their favour, United, is the fact that we're still in the cup, which we'd hope, seeing as we're playing at home to Port Vale, we'll get to the semi-final in that. So we're still in another competition. Going off of that, then you've got Liverpool still in the cup and the Champions League. You've got Villa still in the Europa League, which is a lot of travelling. That's a lot of fixtures. That's a difficult. They found that difficult before playing in Europe, and the league at the last season. But then towards the end of the season, when they went out of the Champions League, the form really picks up. So they're still in enough competition, and even No, so even we're obviously still in a competition as well. So United, out of the sort of front runners for the top four, are the only one that are only in the league and only have the league to focus on. Now there is an argument next season. If you get the feeling that the optimism, whoever the manager they go for is, could be high coming into the next season, seeing as they finish this season so strong. It looks like Carrick's turning right around, especially if they get a few good transfers in. The optimism will be high, but there is an argument that going into the season with European football, which they'll no doubt have Champions League football, surely at this stage, you'd think next season. So, it could, will they be able to deal with it? Because it has worked in their favour, especially at this point in the season. Like a lot of people thought it would, them not being in Europe this season. They needed the season out of Europe really to have this season. I think what that all comes down to is whether they keep Bruno Fernandes. They have to keep Bruno Fernandes. Arguably been the best, maybe the best player in the Premier League this season. Definitely one of the ones that you put forward for that. So keep hold of him. I think they will be looking very strong going into next season. But I think that's what it's going to come down to really. Will they keep Carrick? Because it almost feels like he's done so well that it could be a mistake to get rid of him, because then it puts a lot of pressure on the new manager. Will have to get it up and running straight away. But they also don't want to miss out on the opportunity if there is the manager, because Carrick, when they first brought him in, wasn't meant to be a long-term option, and they probably would have had someone else lined up, but they want to sort of change the plan. I think that it'll be really interesting to see how things work out. Man United, their fourth place for me is between. I mean, we keep messing it up, so I think it's going to be between Arsenal. Not Arsenal, Aston Villa and Liverpool for fourth place. There's a 5-point gap now. They play at Villa Park on the second to last game of the season. Neither of them have got a particularly easy run. Liverpool keep dropping points as well. We see them lose to Brighton at the weekend, and we didn't capitalise on that as well. So because of that, they're still in front of us. That's how the table currently is. It's third, United, then fourth is Villa, but 5 points clear. Liverpool are fifth, and we sit. We keep missing out on the opportunities to go above. And the other two, Brentford, Everton, Brighton, all not far behind either. So it's not impossible. If one of them had a massive run of form, that they could do something special. But going to go off of it. I'm thinking it's between the clubs that are currently sitting up really for top four realistically, and the way we're going, like I say, we'll get to that, but I don't see us doing it now. I'm thinking it's between Liverpool and Villa for fourth, and I think whoever finishes fifth out of them two will likely still qualify for the Champions League because of 5 teams qualify. Villa have been a bit more consistent over the course of the season as a whole. Home form is strong, although they did have those 3 defeats. They got that win against West Ham, much needed win the other day, strong home performance. I think they'll have enough, Villa. I think they'll get fourth. I think Liverpool end in fifth, and I think a lot will depend with them what happens with Slot on whether they qualify for the Champions League or not. I think if they do get in the Champions League, I think there's a chance he could stay for next season. They'll give him another season, but then if they miss out, I think he'll be gone for sure. I'm not sure they'll keep him. From what I'm hearing, I'm not sure they'll keep him if they get in the Champions League. But if they miss out, surely he'll definitely be gone. As for Aston Villa, though, still in Europa League, Unai Emery's won that 4 times. He's definitely got a good chance of winning it again with Villa. I think they've got a very good chance of winning that. And it might even be a case of they qualify through that. But I actually think they'll qualify through the league now. I think they've gotten away with that bit of a blip they had simply because we didn't capitalise on it. And neither did Liverpool really to the full extent they could have done, because when you think the draw with Spurs, the loss to Brighton, these really poor performances from Liverpool. They're still in the Champions League. Liverpool are still in the cup. Could they win a trophy? Like quite often when Liverpool won the Champions League before, Liverpool have actually qualified for the Champions League before by winning it. They have quite often produced a really good European season, having not done well in the league. But I don't know, there just seems to be too much happening there at the moment, too much negativity. There seems to be a lot of uncertainty and a lot of discontent with the season they've had. Salah leaving as well is a massive blow for them at the end of the season. Huge loss, obviously. Club legend. One of their all-time greats. So that will affect them beyond this season for sure. But they are linked with a lot of wingers, linked with a lot of players, but if they're going to get all these players in, they're going to have to qualify for the Champions League, and not all the signings they've made have worked out how they wanted them to this year as well. So uncertain times for Liverpool for sure at the moment, but they always do seem to come back really quickly and really strong. So don't be surprised if they're at the top again quite soon. Chelsea 6th. Do I think we'll hang on to 6th? I'm not sure. The way Everton are going, I think in a moment, if I had to make an honest prediction, I think I'll put Everton in 7th. Sorry, it's in 6th. Not just because they beat us the other day and beat us convincingly and were all over us, because I think they've really grown into the season, and I think they've, towards the start of the season, I was having trouble playing in their new stadium. That don't seem to be the case now. They seem to be getting some results there. Form's been strong. I think David Moyes has done an incredible job to turn them around. It wasn't that long ago he was brought in, and he within just over a season he's turned it right around completely. Around. It wasn't long ago. Everton were in a relegation battle quite a few years in a row. They nearly went down. They survived on the final day. Not too long ago. And the next season, they was in a relegation battle as well. The point deduction was a nightmare. But he's turned it right around. He's got them in a position where it looks like they've got a very good chance of qualifying for at least the Conference League next season. But if I'm right, I'm thinking they might even push on and get 6th. That'll be a Europa League finish. 7th place. If 5 teams qualify for the Champions League, 7th place will be a Europa League place as well. Be 6th and 7th, and 8th will end in the Conference League. So I suppose it's top 8 predictions actually. With this, it's a bit confusing. There's a lot of different scenarios that could play out with teams winning the cups and winning European competitions that could mean a different amount qualify. But we'll go off of the top 8 getting Europe. It's difficult to say, to be honest. But okay, so 7th now. Do I think we'd even get that? I'm not convinced. I'm not just saying this because of how annoyed I am about the Chelsea situation. I'm not sure. The running we've got is terrible. After the Port Vale game, after this international break, we've got 2 games back to back against both the Manchester clubs, both at home. But I honestly think we'll do well to get anything from them 2 games at the moment where we're going. We've also got to play Forest at home. That's one of the only winnable games we've got left by the looks of it. Although the way they're playing, fighting for their life, and they beat Spurs 3-0 the other day, they look like they're pulling away from it, and they're going well in Europe as well. It could be a bad time to play them. I think that's a game that there could be something in for us, but for sure. But again, wouldn't even bank on that. We've got to play Spurs at home. You would think that'd be a win. We usually do beat them in this season. The circumstances there, you would definitely expect us to beat them. But again, like second to last game of the season, they could need something to stay up. As much as we could need something to get in Champions League or Europe or whatever, they could need something to stay up. That could make things incredibly difficult. Sunderland away, last game of the season, will they still have something to play for? Hard to say at this moment. Without predicting every single game individually, it's very hard to say. But say they don't, again, that would be ideal, going their last game of the season, nothing to play for. It definitely would be winnable under them circumstances. We still have something to play for. But then again, it's also a bit of a case of it's a free hit for them, and it could go completely wrong with us under the pressure. So it's hard to say. We've also got games away at Brighton. To be honest, the way Brighton's form's turned right around, I'm not sure I see us getting anything there. And then there's also what's the other one? I think there was someone else we're still in the running, but I can't think off the top of my head. But yeah, it's not looking good for sure. I was looking at it, I'm not sure there's that many points there. I looked at every other team's running that's in and amongst us, and I think there's more points in there for them. So I think we could well fall to about 8th, and Brentford push on and get 7th simply because the home form is so strong. Even if they've not been as strong recently, they still seem to be going relatively steady. There's still some big games to go though. Fulham and Brighton, I think, are interesting. It's worth looking out for them. Fulham last 3 games, Wolves, Burnley and Newcastle, all definitely winnable for them. So 3 wins at the end of the season, it's really tight. That could push them up into Europe, potentially. Although their form does seem to have dropped off a bit in the second half of the season, it's difficult to say at the moment with them. Also, same with Brighton really. Brighton's been so inconsistent the whole season, they seem to be just getting going now. And I wonder if they can make a late push for Europe as well. I think it's going to be incredibly tight, and I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea end up falling to about 9th or 10th. I say 8th. 8th is actually being quite generous, quite optimistic at the moment, to be honest. That would get us potentially in the Conference League next season. Winning the Cup gets you into the Europa League, but, well, it's the way we're playing. The other big teams are still left in it. I'm not sort of beating any of them at the moment. Sunderland, Bournemouth, Newcastle, all that lot not far behind, not out of the European race. Newcastle's been bad result against Sunderland the other day. That's could really have put the nail in the coffin for their European hopes, though. Sunderland definitely still in the mix, but again, form's not been as strong second half of the season. Could that win against Newcastle give them a bit of momentum to push on and maybe stay in the European race potentially? Bournemouth, like I say, they're still not out of it. You can't rule them out. You can't even teams as far as Palace. You can't completely rule them out. 7 points at this stage. It does feel like quite a lot, but there's a bit of a divide there in the league. You've got Palace in 14th and 6 points behind is Leeds, and it feels like everyone still has something to play for, but some teams more realistic chances than others. The bottom, so that if you go down to 15th and down, I think Wolves and Burnley are gone, so we'll rule them out of it because you never know. Burnley 9 points of safety. Wolves, I think, are how many points behind today? I think they're about 13, 14 points of safety. It's not going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised at what I think might happen. I think Burnley might end in bottom in 20th, and I think Wolves might move the way up to 19th. I think that could happen, but realistically, it's between 4 clubs to avoid finishing 18th, which I'll come to in a second. There's still a few 6-pointer games to go there as well. What you want at this stage, when you're fighting for safety, fighting for Europe, whatever, is you want the games, I think, more so than the teams down at the bottom. I think you'd actually want to play the teams at the mid-table, nothing to play for. You don't want to be playing teams who've got everything to play for. Sometimes those games will be a bit dangerous. Teams got nothing to play for. You've got everything to play for. It can be dangerous. But ideally, that's the sort of game you would want. Looking at the running of all the teams, it's hard to pinpoint it. But what is who's got a better running? But what is interesting is West Ham are at home to Leeds on the final day. So you've got Leeds currently out of it in 15th. They currently are. Forest 16th, Spurs 17th, West Ham 18th. Only about 3 or 4 points between them all. So here's my feeling at the moment. I think Forest will make their way up to 15th. I think they will. I think the form you never know, it could completely turn around. But I think the form they've shown recently under Dyche, he knows how to handle this sort of situation. The fact that European form's going strong as well, although that could be a distraction, I do think that whether they go through in the next round or not, I think they seem to be turning it right around. And I do think that if you look at the team they've got, it's too good really to be in the relegation battle. You could say that about a lot of teams. At the end of the day, if you're down there at this stage of the season, you could end up going. But I think the quality they've shown in recent weeks, I think might be enough to get them out of it. Under pressure as well. Huge game away at Spurs. Going with 3-0, I think is enough for me to convince me that they'll survive at this stage. I'll put them in 15th. I think 16th. I'm still going to stick with Leeds in 16th. Will they be safe before the final day? It's hard to say. They've still got to play Spurs right near the end of the season. That could be vital. But again, the way it's going, I would favour Leeds just to get above it. They're not winning as many games. What they are getting is a decent point. 2 points against. So I draw against Palace and Brentford. Good, solid performances at this stage. That's that I think that those type of results could be crucial in just sort of keeping them above it. So the next prediction, I do think it's between Spurs and West Ham. And I'm not sure. I really am not sure. I think, to be honest, it's a toss of a coin at this moment in time between them two. Spurs have got so many problems, obviously. West Ham were sort of in the relegation zone the whole season, but they're just recently starting to show some real form under Nuno and really improve and make a real run for safety. But it's just a case of, will it be enough? Because they're still right in the mix, and obviously they were on a good run and then lost 2-0 at Villa Park the other day. It's a game they could have. You would sort of expect them to lose. Villa still fighting for the Champions League, but I'm going to go with. If I had to say, I'm going based off of the final day. I think it could be very much how it is now. A couple of points between them going into the final day, so it could completely all to play for on the final day. If that's the case, I'm going off of that a bit really here. But if that's the case, Spurs are at home to Everton. Do I think they'll beat Everton, especially if Everton have got a European place to play for? I'm not sure they will. I think that could at least be a draw, and then I think West Ham play Leeds on the final day, who I think might have just got themselves safe by then. And if that's the case, I think West Ham would beat them. If that's how it works out, then I think it will be Spurs going down, West Ham surviving. But like I say, that is more of a guess than a prediction, and that's more how I think it could pan out. I'm more confident about how I think the top 8 will finish than between them two. But it's difficult to say. If I had to say, that's kind of what I'm leaning towards at this moment with the whole table, to be honest. So it's going to be incredibly tight though. It could still all completely turn around. So we'll see how it all pans out.